So Carrie, welcome to Front and Center, and it's the article that we do virtually for the AACFB publication that goes out quarterly. And we're welcoming you in this edition because you were just elected president of the AACFB. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Leslie. It's very nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, thank you. You as well. You as well. So for anyone that's joining us, I'm going to say this is Carrie Radloff. She's a CLFP. She works with American Financial Partners, newly elected president of the AACFB. And so, Carrie, we talked about what your background was and what attracted you to the AACFB. And can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so my background is I decided when I went to college that I wanted to be a CPA. And so that's what I was studying for. And one of my good friends who was studying with me, she ended up getting a part-time job at Manifest Funding Services, which back in the day was owned by Schwan Food Company. It was a leasing division of theirs. And she was loving her job there and suggested that I give it a try and get a job there as well. And so I applied and started working at Manifest. And when I first started part-time, I was the bank and trade call girl. So I would get applications from the credit analysts when they wanted the bank and trades called, and that was my job to call for references. So that's kind of how I got into the industry. And I absolutely loved it there. I loved the fast pace. I loved the people. I loved the business. And so I scrapped my CPA idea and decided to move forward in the leasing and finance industry. And so that's kind of how it started. I ended up staying with Manifest, was brought into the credit team and did underwriting for a number of years. I ended my career at the credit department as the credit manager for the Western United States. And I had met a ton of amazing brokers throughout my relationships there that I worked with. And I did decide that I wanted to transition into sales and learn a little bit about that side of the business. And so I joined, at that time, Brad Peterson was my boss. Everybody probably knows Brad from Channel Partners. And Brad brought me onto the sales team, and I stayed at the sales team for a number of years. And about 10 years with Manifest I spent, and decided that I was interested in the broker side of the market and in the TPO side. And a couple of my friends who had worked with me at Manifest at the time had left a couple years prior and started their own brokerage company. And so I decided to give it a shot there and went to work for American Financial Partners in a sales capacity. The bad news is I did that in 2008, right when the recession hit. So it was a very tough way to learn that side of the business. I had to work pretty hard, but loved it. And I'm so glad that I made that move. And I've been with AFP now for 13 years and love every day of it. Love my job.
You have to. I mean, if you've been somewhere over 10 years, they say you're an expert. In 13 years, then you have to love it or you wouldn't have been there that long, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and so what attracted you to the AACFB?
Yeah, so when I was at Manifest, one of my customers was Patrick Sponsel. And Patrick called me from time to time just to talk and check in. We had become friends and urged me to get involved with the association. And he sat on the board of directors at that time and talked me into joining the marketing committee. So I joined the marketing committee in 2014, and that was really fun. I met a lot of great people. In fact, Teresa Cabot, who's now one of my favorite people in the world, she co-chaired the marketing committee with me for a year. And once I got into that position, I decided that I was interested in maybe joining the board. And so decided to get involved with the board and became part of the board in 2017, I believe it was, when Rodney Blecko was president that year. And I've really enjoyed my years on the board and all the people that I've met, and excited to serve as the role of president for the next year.
I know we're excited to have you. And isn't it great, the group of people that come together in the AACFB? I especially love doing this segment for a commercial break because I get to meet so many people and get to pick their brains. But the one thing that all of the people that we've interviewed thus far has said is that the people they get to associate with in the AACFB is unlike any of the other groups that they've been in. I love it. I love it. And so I think
Yeah, absolutely.
AACFB's 30th anniversary we talked about was coming up. So happy birthday to the AACFB. And then we have an
Yeah.
in-person conference coming up. So tell me about that, because I'm excited about the in-person stuff.
Oh, so am I. Yeah. So our in-person event is coming up in Nashville, which I'm super excited about going there. And that is going to be September 8th and 9th. And we have some really great programs set up for that show. We have a strong committee who's been working on a lot of things for the show. It's our first in-person event for a while, and we know it's going to be really, really fun, and people are going to be excited to be there. We have some really great educational segments that we are bringing there. Obviously, the networking is huge. I hope we get a big draw of people because the networking is really what it's all about: meeting the funding sources, meeting the service providers. Even the other brokers, you know, like you said, the people you meet is just second to none. And I don't know that I would be as successful. I know I wouldn't have been without all the people that I've met who have helped me along the way. I've placed deals at conferences, significant deals that I've made really good money on. And I would have never placed those had I not met some of those funding sources at the conferences that I wouldn't have met otherwise. The people that I've met too have helped me make decisions with regards to how I go about business and given me tips. And it's just been amazing. And I think, like you said, the 30th anniversary is coming up, and that's probably a big reason why the association has been so successful for so many years. You know, it was created for a purpose to help brokers and support brokers. And I think we've, you know, stayed that cause through the whole 30 years. We've made a lot of changes. This is my short time that I've been on the board. My first year on the board, in fact, we changed the name of the association. So we went from the NALB to the AACFB. And really what we were trying to do there is try to help bring a different alternative finance products to our members, try to help them grow their businesses. So we changed that when we were in Vegas, I believe, in 2018. Rodney rolled that out. And that's helped us bring on, you know, commercial real estate, SBA, a lot of different markets that I think those of us who had always just kind of done equipment finance and leasing, we hadn't really expanded into. I know I hadn't. And, you know, just last month, I booked an SBA deal and I booked a commercial real estate deal, and I never did those in the past. So had it not been for that expansion, you know, I wouldn't have been able to service those customers. So it's been a great way for our members to increase their business and bring in new funding partners to learn about what we do and to help us be more successful. So it's all been really good. I agree. I'm a firm believer that you get out of something what you put into it. And so the more you can be involved and the more you can attend conferences and even the webinars and all of the great things that the association has done, the online communities, the more you get involved with that stuff, it will come back and pay dividends, you know, if you put yourself out there. So I truly believe that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the chats, and I think we bring this up a lot too, but the online portal that you can go in and post a question and have people answer is one of the things I get on. I'm not gonna say daily, but at least a couple of times a week. I'm on there either posting a question or getting an answer to a question or just keeping up with some of the current events that are going on. So, and that's great because it's subsectioned out to where if you're a broker and you want to communicate with only brokers, you can do that. And you can really isolate and target the group of people that you want to answer a particular question for you. And so that's a great resource of learning as well, not just through a book or a Google or a DuckDuckGo search, but having people with experience, who are saying, no, this is what you need to do, or this would work better. So I love that about the organization. And
yeah, I love the community. I have mine set up so that I get instant emails every time someone posts something.
Me too.
And I use mine a ton for, like, if I have a weird deal come up, I'll go up and search in the search function, a keyword like to cannabis, even though I don't really do cannabis deals, but and it'll bring up all the other searches. So it helps me just find solutions that were done in the past already.
Now that you're the newly elected president, what's one thing that you think you might want to work on or incorporate or improve? I mean, do you have some idea of something that maybe that hasn't been introduced before, or are you just kind of getting started thinking that way, just looking ahead at your time of being president? I didn't give you that as preparation, but I'm just curious now, what do you think about what your time coming up? What's it going to be like?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of exciting things that the board's working on right now. Obviously, the conferences are a big deal and a big draw. And from my standpoint, I really just want to get more people involved. We are all super busy during the day and have a lot going on. But again, this association is not going to continue to grow and help its members unless everybody gets involved and tells us, what they need to be successful. What do you need from an education standpoint? What else can we be doing to help? And there's a couple of different things that, that we're working on from that standpoint. And we just want feedback from members of what they want us to focus on, because we're your board. It's not our agenda. It's what's the best thing for the members of the association. And that's really what we want to focus on.
Yeah, well, good. So then tell me a little bit, we won't keep you too long. I promise you it wouldn't be long, but now, so tell us about your family, because as much as we all work, we all have families and things we're dedicated to, and we need to remember that and know about it. And I'm curious, so tell me about it.
Sure. So I have my husband, Scott. We'll be married 22 years this June. So we've been together a long time, met in college. Thank you. And he is a program director at a drug and alcohol treatment center. So he works, I think I work a lot. He works about twice as much as I do. So he's got an important job and he does great with it. Our oldest daughter, Madison, is 15, and she lives and dies for horses. We own 2 horses, and she is out there every day with them and likes to barrel race and do games with them and just ride. And that's her love. So, and then our youngest daughter, Samantha. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to ask, so do you guys have land out there that she's practicing on and a little arena, or do you have the horses boarded somewhere, or?
Yes, so we live inside the city of our town, and so we board with a gentleman who is right outside the city limits. And he's a retired gentleman, and he used to raise race horses. Mm-hmm. And so he has a nice facility set up for that, and so we board with him and go out there to ride.
Oh, nice! That's so much fun.
Yeah.
Good deal. Of course, being out in the country, I'm curious about stuff like that. Well, where do you keep your horses at?
Yes.
So, and I didn't mean to cut you off. So you have the youngest child, then too. You have one more?
Yeah. So we have another daughter, Samantha. She is 14. So our kids are only 18 months apart. They're pretty close. And she is into sports. So she loves volleyball and gymnastics are kind of her key things. And she's definitely maybe a social butterfly. She's with her friends all the time, and we don't keep her home much. So she's out and about. And then we have a dog, Josie. She's my office mate who keeps an eye out for me every day in my office. So.
I am so excited to have you on board as the president, and I'm glad that you agreed to do this interview with us. Is there anything that you thought about while we were talking that you wanted to add for anyone?
The only thing I was thinking is, one of the things that I'm really excited about is the number of women who've really gotten involved with the association. When I started on the board in 2017, there was two of us, Sherry Bancroft and myself. And I'm looking at the board for this year, that'll come up in May, and 6 of our board members out of 8 are women, which is pretty amazing. Really stepping up and taking their leadership roles and keeping things pushing forward. And it's really exciting. We're welcoming a couple of new board members, Kayla Sprayberry and Michael Hong. I'm super excited to have both of them join our team. And we have a really strong board. We work really well together, and I'm excited about the next year.
I am too. I love seeing all those names come across in the email blast that went out, letting everyone know. So here's to a great 2021, right?
Yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah.